What's to do, YouTube? It's Holy1, and I'm going to be discussing some of the PC building / ordering pre-built PC nightmares that I've had to deal with throughout my 10 years of gaming on PC. So, let's start off with some of the pre-built nightmares I had. So, the first pre-built PC I bought was off of Amazon, and I got it for $899 back in 2015. I'm not 2015, 2014. It was, and this was back when I didn't really understand PC parts or anything like that. I didn't know that the PC I was buying had literally crappy ass hardware. So let's go over the specifications I bought this PC under. So I bought the PC because I saw it was rocking a GTX 960. And I was like, okay, a 960. I've heard that the new 900 series was back in power. They were saying this thing could do like I wanted to get Borderlands the pre-sequel at ultra settings, and I wanted to use the 960. So I got this laptop. It was a mid-range desktop size with a red casing front, which, by the way, my brother uses the case now for his build. The GPU ran great. I was able to max out Borderlands at 60 hertz, but I noticed the fan was making a very loud noise on the CPU, and my game would start to bottleneck. I looked up why it was throttling and all that, because I didn't know what bottlenecking was at the time when I had this computer. And I found out that the CPU it was using was an AMD 6300. If you don't know what that is, it's basically a fake 6-core CPU, which was basically bottlenecking my 960. I didn't know what bottlenecking was at the time. And after I had my 960, I upgraded to the GTX 980 Ti and plopped it into the rig to see if any I thought that maybe the graphics card was too weak. So I bought a 980 Ti for trading in my 960. And I thought, I just need a more powerful graphics card to make my game run better. So I tried to run Borderlands the pre-sequel at higher settings, and the frame rate was even worse than my 960. I was like, what the hell? I was like, oh. And yeah, the CPU was loud, and it was like reaching up to ADC because this pre-built I bought off Amazon was using a stock cooler for the AMD CPU. And guess what? It was an Intel stock cooler on an AMD CPU, so they literally cheaped out on the CPU. Now, it did have a good power supply. It had a 700 watt power supply, which is pretty decent, or a 500 watt power supply, so it was pretty decent. But the cable management was also very bad. Like, this computer seen better days. So I returned my 980 Ti, and I sold and then I just plopped an old I sold it to my brother because he wanted to get into PC gaming, and I hooked him up. He's like, I just want to do the bare minimum that consoles do, so I hooked him up with an R7 360 AMD with the AMD 6300 because those two wouldn't really bottleneck, so he could still do 720p 60 frames on his rig. So in 2015, I ordered a new rig from CyberPower. CyberPower's build was not bad whatsoever. So I got this pre-built in summer of 2015. It was rocking a GTX 980 Ti. I bought that card again with the thing. It had a 700 watt power supply, 750 watt power supply. It had the case was pretty cheap, but I didn't really care about the case. The cable management wasn't terrible, and the CPU, it was rocking an i5 6600K. So it wasn't really bottlenecking the 980 Ti whatsoever. And it was rocking a liquid cooler with an MSI motherboard for that. But what happened with this build is, after about 6 months or so of having it, the water cooling that it came with the CPU on broke off and flooded the system. Luckily, it only destroyed the motherboard and the CPU, so my 980 Ti survived thanks to its backplate. But yeah, I'm super delicate with all my stuff. This thing was just running. The fan got loud, and my dumbass didn't want to check it. It didn't have any dust issue. The pump just started leaking. So I literally was like, oh man. I was like, you know what? Screw pre-built PCs. I'm building it myself. I just couldn't deal with it. CyberPower's quality control wasn't that bad. I tried to get a Steam machine from CyberPower. The moment that thing arrived, it just broke. It just broke immediately. CyberPower's even, not CyberPower. iBuyPower and that one just broke too. So I was like, you know what, I'm gonna build it myself. So I did my first like ultimate high-end PC build. I wanted to go balls to the walls on this one. So I took my 980 Ti out. My 980 Ti was able to salvage, and the power supply. So I took the power supply, my 980 Ti. I got an i7 6700K because I wanted no bottlenecks. I wanted the best parts on the hardware. I got 16 gigs of RAM. I plopped it into the same case, the blue one, after cleaning it out. My cable management wasn't that great. I really didn't give a damn about cable management for a while. And yeah, the system ran pretty good until and I was using an air cooler, like a Corsair air cooler on that. So that was running pretty good for my first pre-build. So after the whole Intel debacle with their 7900 series, I wanted to, and when Ryzen came out, I wanted to get into Ryzen because I was like, you know what? I do a lot of video. I like to do streaming. I like to upload to YouTube a couple of videos here and there. I like to render my videos at 2K at 60 frames per second at ultra settings on my PC. So I decided to upgrade to a GTX 1080 and get a Ryzen 1700X with an MSI B350 motherboard. So this is where the next nightmare starts. The MSI motherboard broke, and I thought it was my bugging because I bought Ryzen the moment it launched. And Ryzen had a lot of issues at launch. Like, you guys can go watch my 1700X review on my channel. It's up right now. So I was thinking my 1700X was bugging out. So I decided to literally send in my 1700X. I had it replaced. My RAM was working fine. I had 32 gigs of RAM. And my motherboard was broken. So I was literally getting half my frames on a 1080. So now we come to the PC build I currently have right now, which is probably my best one I have yet, which is, of course, 2018. So back in 2017. So thanks to crypto miners, I sold my friend's 960 and my 1080. I was able to buy a 1080 Ti for about $750, and I hooked my brother up with a 970 because he wanted a Ryzen build. Because his PC actually broke. His AMD 6600 I gave him literally finally bit the dust. So he bought a Ryzen 1300X with a 970. And I hooked myself up with a Ryzen 2700X and bought a brand new ASRock motherboard with built-in Wi-Fi antennas like bee's knees. It can do Crossfire, SLI, all the sorts. It's 32 gigs of RAM. You guys can check my specs out in the description. Liquid cooling. I've had this PC for I've had the 2700X for about 6 months now, and I love it. It's amazing. I don't have any issues with Intel. I didn't have any issues with components breaking down with the pre-builds. I built it myself. The cable management is amazing. No wires are hanging on top of the graphics card. Everything's tucked away nicely. You guys can go check out what my PC looks like in that. And yeah, I've been just gaming on that for a while. And it's been working great. I just dust it out every couple months, keep it cleaning, all that sort of thing. So yeah, if you guys can, avoid pre-built PCs. Building your own is cheaper, and it's less of a hassle because if something breaks, like if you break a RAM module by mistake, you can just send it into the manufacturer and have them send you a new one out and still game on your PC with just like one stick of RAM or something like that. So these were my epic fails when it comes to pre-builds and building my own PCs, guys. Hopefully you guys can learn from the experience I did with my gaming on PC. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. This is your boy Holy One. Out!